request form.
Okay, finally. You sit here and wait for it to be 3 o'clock, and you think it's never going to be 3 o'clock, but it's 3 o'clock, so we're going to get started. Thank you all for being here. All the council members are present, so we have a full quorum. We have a lot of business to attend to today, and I'm sure that there will be much interest in some of these items. But before we get started, I'm happy to have Father Brad Sherberly here with us from St. Paul the Apostle Catholic Church to lead us in an invocation, so join us for this.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the invitation to come and pray you into your session today. As we come to prayer today, I think we all need to come to a moment of quiet. You can guess probably what I'm going to say. We are aware of our brothers and sisters of all ages who have lost lives in flooding that has been going on. We remember them, and we reflect on the missing, the known missing, and the unknown that people are not yet aware of. We remember all the responders, in particular the first responders, but all the people coming together to help and support the cleanup, the search, and the rebuild. As civic leaders ourselves, acutely aware of the waterways in Horseshoe Bay and the contributory waterways that flow around us and the people who depend on us, let us pray for solid leadership in the efforts of discovery, cleanup, and rebuilding. And of course, all the families and the religious communities that support all the people in the tragedy, in the celebration of the lives now called to God, and the journeys forward to know the presence of God who walks with us, especially as we come together to figure this all out. Let us take a moment of silence to pray, reflecting on these situations and the situation that God points out in each of our hearts. Mysterious and ever-present God, our city council comes together today in the midst of a chaotic time in our area, with so many people dealing with unexpected situations, unexpected losses, and an ever-changing future. But the tasks before this council remain the betterment of this community, organizing the citizenry and our structures in ways that help people deal with the realities of life in Horseshoe Bay for the betterment of everyone. It is, of course, your way, Lord, that guides us with both compassion and inspiration, using the skills and abilities you have provided those gathered here to work for the common good. Bless this time of discussion and decisions today. Guide us to use what you have given each of us for blessing and the good of all of us, and grant us the insight we need to prepare for an ever better future, filled with a sense of security and good health by our choices to care for each other in the best way possible. We ask this in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Well, please join me in the pledges to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor and justice. I pledge allegiance to the Texas under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Thank you so much, Father Brad, for those words of comfort. You know, it feels a little funny to be, or not funny at all, but it feels a little wrong for us to be sitting here conducting business when there's so many people in the Hill Country and around the state who are suffering such immeasurable sadness right now. And I know that all of us pray for those families, for the first responders. Our city stands ready to help in any way that we can. We've made that offer. Many of us up here today are wearing these green ribbons, and this was something that Congressman Pfluger, I think, announced when he was down in Kerrville last week that this was a move of solidarity, that we could show our solidarity with the people who are suffering right now. And so the wearing of these green ribbons signifies that those people are in our hearts and prayers. So thank you all for being here. The next item on our agenda right now is some announcements of staff recognition. And Chief Fowler?
Mayor, Council, thank you very much. Very, very proud moment today. Captain Josh Wimberly is celebrating 20 years with the Horseshoe Bay Fire Department. Originally from Corpus Christi, he began his fire service career as a volunteer with the Burnett Fire Department in 2003. By May 2004, he became a certified firefighter, EMTB. After 15 months with the Burnett Fire Department, he joined the city of Horseshoe Bay and briefly served as a lieutenant with Travis County ESD-1 while continuing his duties with Horseshoe Bay. Josh was promoted to captain in July 2012 and has led as the shift commander for C Shift for the past 13 years. He holds Advanced Firefighter Instructor 1 and Officer 1 certifications from the Texas Commission on Fire Protection. Josh lives in Kempner with his wife Shauna. They have 4 adult children and 6 grandchildren. He also serves as an elder at his church and is active in global missionary work. Please join us in celebrating Captain Wimberly on 2 decades of dedicated service to the city of Horseshoe Bay.
Wow, thank you so much, Josh. Have you got family members here? Okay. Those are 3 very photogenic gentlemen up there, aren't they? Thank you and congratulations. Okay, now we come to the part of our agenda under public comments. Before we get to this, I just do want to say we published our agenda in the newspaper, as we always do, and I will note that there is an item on the agenda at the end of the agenda under executive session where council will confer with our attorney. The items on that executive session, which one of them is an Atten Hill issue. No action will be taken in executive session. Nothing has been proposed at this time. So in case you were here because you wanted to hear what was going to be said about that, I just wanted to let you know that that's not going to be taken up in the meeting today. And you're welcome to stay. I just didn't want anyone to think that they were sticking around for that and then we didn't talk about it. So public comments, we ask you to limit your comments to 3 minutes. We cannot we can't answer your questions. We can clarify things, but the council will not engage with these public comments. This is just really for you to come and share your thoughts with the council. So having said that, let's see, there's actually nothing on our agenda that is in these comments, so I'm going to go ahead and call on you. Kelly Alton wants to speak about Richter Ranch.
Hi, I'm Kelly Alton. I'm part of the Hill Country Trekkers. Trekkers, please stand. There's a bunch of us here today. Thank you. I'm also here because I'm a concerned citizen of Horseshoe Bay. As you have heard from other members of the Trekkers, we have deep concerns about the Richter Ranch development. The proposed plan is terribly close to the trail and will have major effects on the ecosystem and the beauty of the trail. As it is, Horseshoe Bay doesn't have many trails open to the public. However, another concern is the number of houses planned. Since moving to Horseshoe Bay, it seems that everyone I have met came from a large Texas city: San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, Austin. The one common reason why they all left those cities, me included, was to get away from the traffic, the crime, the mass developments of tract homes, and the lack of green space. This development, even though the developers will say that the houses will be custom, etc., is still way too many houses planned, which will involve removing many, many trees and natural vegetation, therefore potentially eroding the hillside, which could cause future runoff, not to mention the disruption of the wildlife. Sorry, my paper's stuck. Generally, there hasn't been enough water to water our landscapes. We are in constant water conservation mode, and now you are proposing 100+ more homes, which will only compound that problem. And with those 100 homes means there will be an additional 200 more cars on the road, assuming that every house will have 2 cars, and if any of those houses have kids, plan additional 1 to 2 cars per household. And that's a lot of additional traffic. These developers are here understandably to make a profit, but we are here because it's our home. Let's keep Horseshoe Bay green. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Appreciate your comments. Okay, and Les Ventnor. His subject is going to be about preserving our heritage.
Good job, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
You got it real close. Most people say Fentanyl. I've been to places when I was working and going to motels, they would call it Cinder. But it's actually Fenter, which is like a car fender, but it's a T because I'm an old, I won't say it. Fellow.
Okay.
Listen, first of all, let me just say, this is a trying time, and I want to take my hat off to each one of you who are here carrying your own burdens, but yet you're here to do your jobs. And that's a difficult balance, to preserve the heritage and still plan for the future of Horseshoe Bay. So I'm here to comment on preserving the heritage. My wife and I bought our lot here in 1976. We saw it and said, we have got to be a part of this place. And God has blessed us mightily. We were able to move here in 1994, and we are so, so grateful to be here every day. I walk around or drive around or walk with these trekkers. I have to get metaphorically on my knees for what we have here. This is awesome. And y'all represent the best of the best. You serve selflessly. I know you do, whether you're a politician or whether you're a salaried employee or whether you're a volunteer. I know that's what you do. Been there, done that so many times. So I'm here just to speak about preserving the heritage of this trail that we're here to talk about, this 240-acre tract. It is so beautiful. It supports the wildlife. And I do look forward to hiking up and down it a few more times. And I pray that many others will be able to enjoy that privilege. Thank you for considering that as you go through your business today. God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Fentner. Mr. Fitter. Fenter. I got it. Fenter. Mr. Fenter. And just to clarify, there are no politicians here. We're all volunteers. Okay, and Dick Smith.
Good afternoon. I'm here to talk about Atten Hill, but not the massive subject. My wife and I live on Rivalto Drive in Tuscan Village. So we're at the bottom of the totem pole over there. We're also at the bottom of the big hill. And our concern now is moving water, just like that's all we hear about these days. We've had our backyard flooded with water coming off of the golf course. And with all the massive amounts of impermeable coverage that's going to be added with Atten Hill, I just have a question. I know you can't give me an answer, and I'll like to talk to staff later. My question is, do you feel like you have developed an adequate drainage plan coming down the hill, phase 1 and phase 2, to protect everyone who's down the hill? And that's just...
Okay. Thank you. Jeff, would you like to comment? I think we can make a comment on that.
Sure, yes. It was part of the design of Tuscan 1 and 2, and pretty much any place in the city that comes in as a neighborhood that there is a plan for drainage. And so that's a lot of the developments that are around have that. But as you'll see in a minute, I have another plan that we're going to be talking about here just in a minute about the citywide drainage plan that really connects the dots on some of these that are out there and identify some of the problem areas and then work to where we have a solution across the whole city because a lot of this does come from golf course and the raw land, and as we develop these, there's a big issue, so.
Okay.
Time and.
So we'll be discussing that on today's agenda, the greater
Great.
issue of drainage. So
Thank
thank
you
you
all.
very much.
Right.
Okay, so now moving on to the next item on the agenda, we have a public hearing. I'm going to open this public hearing at 3:15. The topic is a final plat for Horseshoe Bay Plat number 44.17. Oh, I'm sorry. A one-lot subdivision consisting of 1.73 acres, and this is regarding a proposed dog park in the Highlands subdivision. So,
Yes, ma'am.
Roy
It's
Jamber.
not a dog park, it's an exercise park. It's
Oh,
just
I'm
two
sorry.
benches. It's not, we were told that you cannot have a dog park. This is 2 benches with a fence around it for grandbabies to have a play area.
Okay, I misspoke. So I'll let
Yes, ma'am.
Roy Jamber present.
It's
this.
actually the plat itself that's on the agenda. The reason it's being platted is so they can get a permit for a fence. Now, the applicant's representative did show up at P&Z and make mention of the fact that the purpose of the fence was for a dog park, but whether that's correct or incorrect is not really that material. The reason it's here is because we would be precluded from issuing a permit for any improvements. And to the best of our knowledge, the improvements that are going to be initially sought is a fence that will, once it's platted, go through the normal review like any other fence permit would be. We'll make sure that it complies with the zoning ordinance for that area.
Okay, so all you're asking for is just the platting of the lot?
Yes, ma'am, it's the lot as it exists to go ahead and plat it. Right now, it's just a tract of land.
Okay.
And what this needs to be, and, the reason we do this, just, while I have your attention, is the idea is that over time, if we start requiring these things to be platted, we will have a more clear, unambiguous public record as it relates to real estate records in the county. And that's the ultimate goal. So one of the ways we do that is to insist that they get it platted before they get a permit. That's our way to encourage that, so to speak.
Okay, counsel, so I guess we disregard that part in your packet that talks about the dog park. So do any of you have any questions? No? Okay, the applicant's here. Would you like to speak?
I really don't need to. Hi, y'all.
Okay.
Thank you for all you do and for all you first responders.
Could you tell us your name, please?
My name's Clark Ross, and
Okay.
I live here in one of the units at the Highlands there. And so we have a tennis court that's on that property, and it's been there forever, since the beginning when they developed it. There's 30 townhomes in there and 2 tennis courts. And so what we were hoping to be able to do is put 2 benches outside the tennis courts and then have a little play area for kids and whatnot. But there's a street that runs by there called Twin Cells, and when we're in there by the benches, we just wanted to have it fenced off so kids don't run out in the street while we're sitting there chatting. So that's really all it is. It's a little 220 feet of a wrought iron black fence, just like the fence across the street. And we're going to have 2 benches and maybe a couple picnic tables, and that's all it is. So,
Okay, great.
and when you said they couldn't do it until it was platted.
Okay, that's understood. Is there anyone else in the public that would like to address this issue? Okay, I'm going to close this public hearing at 3:18. And council, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the final plat of Horseshoe Bay Plat number 44.17.
Okay, I have a motion from the Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Weatherby. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say aye or say no. Okay, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right, good luck. The next motion on, the next item on the agenda is to propose the fiscal year 2026 property tax rate. Okay, Molly Jester, our Finance Director.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. The proposed property tax rate for fiscal year '26 is going to be .26775 per $100 of value. And this consists of an M&O rate, which is maintenance and operations, of .19378 per $100 of value to support the general fund, and an INS rate, which is interest and sinking, of .07397, and this will contribute to the debt service fund. The tax rate is based on estimated property valuations provided from Llano County as of May 30th and Burnett County as of April 28th, and that totals $4.2 billion. The certified property valuations are required to come to the cities by August 7th. Enclosed, you'll find a table projecting the property tax rates. The table proposes keeping the constant rate as was last year, and staff recommends that the council set this rate, the proposed rate for fiscal year 26, to be .26675.
Okay, council, do you have any questions for Molly?
Molly, this is how many years in a row we've had this rate?
This is the second. It went down last year.
I know, but, I mean, we've been under 27 cents
Oh,
for
yeah, long
more,
term.
which is an important
Yeah,
thing to.
this will be the
understand.
third.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been at 26,775 for two, so this will be the third. But prior to that, it's probably at least 6 or 7 years that we were at 27 cents.
27. It's on the
Oh, is
the
it?
next page, page 11, if anyone wants to look at it.
Now, this is the proposed maximum tax rate, isn't it, Molly?
Yes, these are preliminary numbers of a $4.2 billion evaluation, and they'll be certified by the end of July, early August.
Okay. Council, do you have any other questions?
No.
Somebody like to make a motion?
I move to set the proposed property tax rate of .26775 per $100 taxable valuation for the fiscal year of 2025-26.
Thank you. Have a motion from Councilmember Morgan. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second from Councilmember Weatherby. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, Jeff, you want to tell us about the Walter P. Moore Engineering Drainage Agreement, which you've referred to before?
Yes, ma'am. It's an honor to be here. And this is something that I've been talking about for a long time, planting seeds with different people about this. And here, and since I've been here since 1998, I've seen some changes coming along. And drainage is one of the most significant ones that I see that we have to deal with in the future. As Mr. Smith had alluded to, is that over the last 10 years, we've seen a lot of new subdivisions come in. We've had a lot of interest out in our ETJ, which kind of triggered us a couple of years ago to work with Walter P. Moore to look at our creeks and drainages around the creeks, because we knew that that was going to be impacted by the development. And so we looked at, our existing conditions and then are looking at our build-out conditions to see how much they're going to modify and how that's going to impact the city. So we did that with ARPA money, and so it did not cost the citizens any money on that. So the next phase is to really look within the city. And these are areas, as Mr. Smith was talking about, where maybe the golf course is running off onto to lots, or as we build in existing lots, that impervious cover does have impacts on these local areas. And to drill down into our community and look at those specific areas, and in this contract, we're looking at 20 right off the bat, and that will probably go on for many years as we go through and get more sophisticated in our data that we have. But this contract is, like I said, the second part of the plan to develop a stormwater utility, which we do not have. We have a lot of the green space that is drainage that's not really defined as such, but it is owned by either the golf course owns some, the 13 different POAs that we have out in the community own it. The city owns very little. I think we own some in Martin Park, but we don't have that. So in this contract, we're working together with the POAs to try to determine how we get ownership or how we manage these drainage areas and define those, and then work to put those in a plan, come up with the standards for the creeks and these drainages to make sure that they can be managed for straight flow through to the lake, and to identify if there's lots out there, what elevation some of those need to be, the slabs need to be up. So there's a lot of work that this is involved in getting this done. It'll take about 8 months, and the first thing we do is start identifying these locations, identify existing infrastructure that we have out, all the driveways, all the bar ditches that we have around our roads and in those areas, and then to come back and determine a priority of list of things that we're going to have to take on to do some correction actions, and to develop that plan for that, and then also the operational plan that the city, if we can work this out with the POAs, that we would take charge on this to make sure that we manage the bar ditches and everything, that make sure that the flow through the city is correct. We already have a drainage criteria for when it's draining. A lot of that has been working to our advantage to know when somebody builds a lot, what the drainage coming off the lots. But this one gets the bigger picture and it puts it into a utility drainage easement. And once we create this drainage easement, it'll have to be funded. And so part of this contract also is to look at the capital expense, the operational expense, and determine what type of fees we're going to require to have this. And this is going to have to be something that we'll have to look at and consider applying across all lots, all communities, to pay for the infrastructure that needs to be done. But this is a key thing that we have to do going forwards. Like Mr. Smith said, as we get more and more houses in here, we're going to have a bigger problem. So we have to start now. This is not going to be something that's going to, although we'll go through this plan with the engineer to develop the plan, there's a lot of work to be done, and it's going to be done over many years with capital improvements to take those on. But we'll do this based on a priority basis on which ones are the most affect the most community or the most dangerous for that. So in this budget is $111,000 for the engineering services, which we'll be working directly with the engineer to develop these assets and also create an ordinance that'll work on that, and then work with the POAs in the concert. And we'll spend $60,000 of that. The budget's already been set for that. Y'all have already approved the budget. And then it's $60,000 is in this year's budget between now and October 1st. And then the other $60,000 will come out of 2026 budget. But what I'm asking is that we have a contract with Walter P. Moore. It's been with our attorneys. They reviewed it. It's been sent back to Walter P. Moore for adjustments on it. But once we get everything negotiated outright, I'd like for y'all to approve the contract and authorize me to sign that contract so we can move forwards.
Okay. So Jeff, just to be clear, the proposed motion that's in our packet needs to be revised because the contract is still
Yes.
under discussion. So what you would like for us to authorize, council, if you look at your proposed motion on page 13, is where it says to authorize the city manager to sign said contract. I think that you're going to need to add a phrase that says after the city attorney and after negotiations between the city attorney and Walter P. Moore are complete. Is that
Satisfactory,
Okay.
complete for the city.
something like that, so that we,
You can say negotiate and execute the contract,
okay.
and you could add approved as to form by the city attorney.
So, Dottie, I'm sorry.
So the motion would say for the council to authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute the professional services contract with Walter P. Moore Engineering for the development of stormwater, and have the city attorney sign approved as to form.
I
Okay.
second that.
Okay. Would someone like to make that motion, or Carrie, would you like to read that back? No, you don't, you're not ready?
I can, authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute the contract with Walter P. Moore Engineering for the development of the city's stormwater utility and plan creation not to exceed $120,000, approved as to form by the city attorney.
I second that.
Okay,
We gotta
what
make
you
the
would say is so moved?
So moved.
Okay,
Who motion?
it's going to be Frank.
That's fine.
The motion is made by Councilmember Hosea, and the second
Second.
by Councilmember Morgan. So, any questions? Do y'all have any discussion at this point?
I actually did have a couple of matters that confused me. One is the limit of liability of the Moore Fountain Group. I didn't understand why his liability would be limited to $50,000 and we're paying him $120,000, and we don't know. I'm assuming he's going to do a great job for us, no problem with that, but I sure wish I could have had my liability limited when I was practicing law. And
We'll take a look at
Yeah, we'll look at that and we'll modify that because I agree. We saw that too.
there's actually two places in the contract that's in. So, and one says 50 and one says 100, or the total contract, whichever's less, so.
We'll make
Could
sure
take a
that
look
may
at
already
that.
been done.
Yeah.
to
'Cause
that.
I have a big problem with that.
I understand.
Beware of council members who are lawyers.
Glad they are.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jeff. Anybody else have any questions for Jeff or Dottie? Okay, then, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is adjustment of drought contingency plan from stage 2 to stage 1. I'm going to call on the Director of Utilities. Director, is Ray here? Oh, yeah, Ray Garcia, but before we go to Ray, I just want to say, I see Susan Patton back there, our representative from the LCRA. And Susan, I just really appreciate what an outstanding job the LCRA has done this flood cycle in managing Lake LBJ. I know that in 2018 we had flooding. They've done an outstanding job of lowering the lake in anticipation, and we've had no damage from the flooding here. And I know that, you know, the rivers, the Llano, the Colorado, the San Saba, the Guadalupe, those are not managed by the LCRA, so they are not responsible for what the tragedy that happened. But the part that they did have control over, we are very appreciative of the outstanding job they've done in managing. So please share our gratitude with them. And Ray, you want to give us some good news here?
Mayor, Council, on April 1st, 2025, the city moved to stage 2 of the LCRA drought contingency plan. Staff are requesting to move back to stage 1 of the same plan effective immediately upon council approval. Staff believes it is sound judgment to promote the best conservation practices for irrigation and erosion control to move to stage 1 of the plan and continue to actively monitor for compliance. Staff will update council as we go through the summer months if it drops below 0.9 million acre feet with the combined levels of Buchanan and Travis.
Y'all have any questions for Ray?
The handout there, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
excuse me, the handout I gave you was today's LCRA report with the combined totals that they reported for 90% for both Buchanan and Travis.
Which we had to be above 55% for, according to the LCRA's guidelines, to go out of stage 2. So this should definitely qualify. What this is going to mean, and I think, Cindy, we probably want to put this out on our website, that we'll go back to odd number addresses, water on Wednesdays and Saturdays, even numbers Thursdays and Sundays, commercials, HOAs, POAs are Tuesdays and Fridays, and the watering hours are 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. So we'll put that information back out for the public so that in case someone doesn't remember what their water day was, we provide that information to them.
When does this take effect?
It takes effect this afternoon.
Great.
No, it doesn't take effect this afternoon, Rick?
It's 7 p.m. to 10 a.m.
What did I say?
You said 10 a.m. to 7.
You know what? I'm looking at a letter I received from the LCRA. It says before 10 a.m. and after 7 p.m. Oh, I read it wrong. I apologize.
Nobody wanted to correct you, and
Yeah,
they
no.
prodded me, so.
Oh, but,
Not in front of everybody.
no, I apologize. I read it wrong. Before 10 a.m. and after 7 p.m. I stand corrected. Thank
Thanks,
you,
Rick.
Rick. Thank you for being the brave man in the room. You're going to get extra points for that. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, so we need a motion.
Let's do it. I move to approve that the City of Horseshoe Bay's drought contingency plan stage be moved from stage 2 to 1 upon LCRA approval.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Weatherby. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? And I think the LCRA approval, I mean, that's fine to put it in there, but we received that today, or yesterday, we
The
received.
14th was the official notice that they
Okay,
sent out.
so that's taken care of. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ray. Okay, we're moving right along here. Roy Jambert, third request for request for a third building permit extension for property located at 125 Plaza Escondido.
Yes, ma'am. That's the one that they've actually gotten a temporary CO already, so you don't need to take action on that one.
Okay, so that's being pulled from the agenda?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what about a third building permit request for the property located at 106 Broken Bow?
Yes, ma'am. That one is a current valid request.
Okay. Is the applicant, do you want to say anything?
No, ma'am, just, we have the request in your packet as well as the information
Is
about the amount.
Okay, and this is for Hagen's Restoration and Construction. Caitlin Toomey, is Caitlin or anyone from the company here?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so this is for a 90-day extension for a fee of $7,500. Council, do any of you have any questions for Roy? The item is on page 31 of your packet.
Is this one of those that expired and then before we had the council meeting?
This one expired on July the 11th.
Yeah,
Expired on July 11th, so,
I got 4 days.
yeah, they got 4 days free, but they've applied for the,
Well, we always backdate it
Yeah.
to the 11th.
oh, so it'll be backdated, okay.
They don't get anything free other than the lack of a violation notice or potentially
Yeah.
a stop work order.
Okay, all right. Council, if nobody has any other questions, there's a motion that you could make on page 31 of the packet.
Move to approve the request of Hayden's Restoration and Construction for a 90-day permit extension for a total fee of $7,500 for a single-family residence located at 106 Broken Bow.
Thank you. I have a motion from Councilmember Waddell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from, who was that? From Councilmember Morgan. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The motion carries. Okay, so the next item we come to is the consent agenda. Council, is there anything on this consent agenda you would like to have removed for further discussion? Nope. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, I have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Weatherby. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay. Monthly reports. Council members, do any of you have reports with your liaison committee work that you'd like to share with us and the public? Nope? Okay. You're thinking about it?
I just wanted to remind everyone that our 20th anniversary is coming up for the city, and you'll be seeing ads in the Beacon. We're doing a lot of planning on that. I am the liaison for the Historical Committee, and we have a neat little niche in the corner, which they're going to provide artifacts and history of Horseshoe Bay, and they will change it out from time to time so that it stays fresh. People can come in as they're waiting for meetings or having meetings and catch up on Horseshoe Bay history. So it's coming along really well. I appreciate all the help.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Any other council members want to make a report? So we'll move on to department reports. And one thing before we get to that, I just want to say, I want to thank everybody who came to the 4th of July. Am I stepping on what you were going to say? Everyone who came to the 4th of July and helped with the hot dog booth. I want to thank Cindy for all the hard work you did in getting that set up and organized. We had 1,000 hot dogs that the city provided. The resort prepared them for us, but we paid for them. And at the end of the day, I believe there were about 50 hot dogs left. So in spite of the rain, In spite of the bad weather, people came, they enjoyed it, and it was a good celebration. So thank you all for your help on that. So, Jeff?
Yes, ma'am. Tim Ferran, our Public Works Director, is going to tell us a little bit about our road project status.
Thank you, Tim.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. As you know, I spoke during the budget meeting. Both of our contractors that we have under contract right now are working in the rescue efforts throughout Central Texas. So we were delayed just a little while. I believe we're going to get the seal coating started on or about August 5th. We're going to be doing west. The road reconstruction, maybe a month. 3 weeks to a month, they should be wrapped up with what they have going on in their efforts, and they'll be able to come out here. They don't need their survey crew, obviously, on rescue, so we have started surveying for the new roads. We're moving along very slowly right now because of what has gone on. Jeff, the mayor, and I have met on a little special project out in west that we believe we're going to go ahead and be able to get started within a couple of weeks as well. And we had a little special project up towards the airport that got completed last Friday.
Do you want to tell the council a little bit about what the plans are at Cat Canyon?
So at Cat Canyon, we have a visibility problem. We haven't had accidents, but we have a pretty bad visibility problem, as Councilwoman Waddell can attest to, going in and pulling out of Cat Canyon. So what our plan is, what we discussed last week, is when you're leaving, we are planning on shaving part of the berm that's there at an angle, a vision angle, to remove that so that you have vision to the top of the hill as you're exiting. Coming in, there's obviously a visibility problem as well, so what we plan on doing is removing the bullnose rock, lowering that whole section down to a 6-inch curb, which will match the existing about 3/4 of the way up the hill. We haven't quite determined 100% if we need to go to the crest of the hill. If we do, we'll lower that as well. We plan on removing a couple of trees and some of those very large boulders that are in the middle of the island that cut your vision off as you're pulling onto Cat Canyon.
And Tim, you anticipate doing that pretty soon, right?
I would love to get that done prior to the seal coating, so I hope to get rolling on that within a couple of weeks. That way we can start at the back of the west end of West, move back towards the boulevard.
Great, okay, thank you.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Carrie, kind of give us an update on the special session.
The special session starts on Monday and it lasts for 30 days. The topics range from THC to property taxes and now a lot of information about emergency management in general, all aspects of it. But they have targeted cities again. 65% of the bills, they filed almost 100 bills, and 65% of those are impacting cities. 6 of them directly are to remove TML, which is, as y'all know, a resource for the city. And so we're going to be watching those bills and learning more, especially about the property tax ones, because there's some very interesting ones in there.
Okay, and I'm sure we'll be mobilizing our Speak Up group again on those when we have more information. So, okay, thank you, Jeff.
And one other thing, I'd like to also recognize the work that was done by the fire department in the rescue mission to try to find the Marble Falls fire chief who was lost in Cow Creek. We have not come up with his body, as what I understand so far. It's a terrible thing, but they were there to help and assist in that. Also, the water and wastewater guys, through this week, when you can see there's significant challenges dealing with the mud and the turbidity that comes down the river. They have to stay very vigilant through the weekend to make sure that they're in front of the plume of dirt coming through, that they get the right operational. They've done a great job. A testament of some of the things that we've done in the past. We have changed our treatment process from kind of a standard format, which uses filtration systems. Years ago, we changed to a membrane type system that is really designed for situations like this, where we have Cryptosporidium and Giardia, these small bacteria and bugs, basically, that can get through the conventional systems. And so a lot of systems have to go into boil water notice because they can't assure that, where these actually filter those out.
Are you talking
And
about
so-
water or wastewater?
Water.
Oh, okay, I thought so.
Wastewater has its own challenges. Whenever a flood happens and grinder tanks go underwater, we have massive water come through our lift stations, and balance that, making sure that the equipment's there and deal with that is always a challenge when we have floods. So floods are a challenge for the police, the fire, Tim being out on the road, make sure the roads aren't, damaged with trees or constructed. So we were busy this last couple of weeks trying to deal with that, and I just want to recognize all the good work that they did to get that kind of taken care of, and we dodged a bullet. Fortunately, we didn't have the flooding like we had working around us, but also a testament that we were ready.
Right. And I know there have been some concerns about the drinking water, that it, maybe some people think it's discolored. I did visit with Ray, and they've been flushing the system. They're checking it closely, and the drinking water is safe. There are the challenges that they're pulling it out of chocolate milk.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
And generally, that's probably a flow issue down there, so they just flush it out, and it should be fine.
yeah, thank you. Any other departments you need to report about? Okay, I don't believe there's anything else on the agenda to discuss. We are now going to go into executive session. And just so you know, when we go into executive session, and I'll discuss what we're going to talk about, but no action is taken in executive session. And so if you want to stay until after the executive session, we will reconvene the meeting, but usually just for a couple of minutes. So you're welcome to leave if you want, or wait outside. I'm sorry that we don't have a better place for the citizens to wait. So at 3:46 p.m., the council will go into executive session for consultation with the city attorney regarding potential litigation relating to the Atten Hill development under Texas Government Code 551.071, and for consultation with the city attorney regarding property located at 1902 Bay West Boulevard under Texas Government Code 551.071. Thank you.